When do you think Jarvis, an AI that helps Tony Stark, will become a reality? With Agentic AI technology, scientists at Stanford University are building that right now. Watch this summary video for how they do it. Hello everyone, my name is Pisek or Benz, and this is Case Done.
You know, for a long time, we've thought of AI as this amazing tool that scientists can use. But what if it was more than that? What if AI could actually be a partner, a real collaborator in the lab? Well, today, we're going to dive into exactly that idea.
And there it is, right from Professor James Zhu at Stanford. This is the big idea we're tackling. We're talking about a whole new concept. AI as a genuine partner in discovery, a co-scientist.
So what does that actually mean in practice? Well, it's a huge shift. We're moving away from just giving an AI a very specific, narrow problem to solve. Instead, we're moving towards a world where an AI can help strategize, collaborate, and even co-design the entire research process. It's really about going from a tool to a teammate.
Now, let's get one thing straight. This isn't some off-the-shelf product you can buy. What we're about to explore is happening at the absolute cutting edge, inside experimental labs where researchers are literally building the future of science, one prototype at a time.
Okay, first up, let's peek inside one of the most incredible proofs of concept out there, the virtual lab. Professor Zhu's team did something wild. They built a digital simulation of his own research group at Stanford just to see how these AI agents would work together.
So inside this virtual lab, they basically created a whole social structure. There's a PI agent, that's the principal investigator, kind of the boss. Then you've got these student agents, each with a different specialty, like a biologist or a critic, and they all collaborate, they have virtual meetings, all to tackle these really big, open-ended scientific questions.
And you know what? It actually works. They gave the agents the problem of figuring out how to target new COVID variants. And on their own, the AI agents came up with a strategy using something called nanobodies. But here's the most important part. Human scientists then took that idea into a real physical lab and proved it was a valid strategy. It's the perfect example of AI driving the big ideas, while humans are still essential for the hands-on, real-world validation.
But that brings up a pretty big question, right? How does a general all-purpose AI model get the kind of deep, specialized knowledge it needs to act like a scientist with a PhD?
Well, the answer is this amazing concept called Agent School. Get this, it's a system where the AI agents don't just learn, they create their own curriculum. They go out, download the latest research papers from places like PubMed, and use all that information to basically teach themselves and become experts.
And the speed is it's mind-boggling. A general base model can turn itself into a specialist, like an immunologist or a professional coder, in as little as a single day. Think about that. It's a completely new way to create and scale expertise.
This whole idea of self-learning leads to an even bigger, more transformative vision from Professor Zhu. He's asking, what if scientific knowledge wasn't just static text on a page? What if every research paper ever published could be its own interactive agent that you could talk to and work with?
And that's the whole concept behind something called paper-to-agent. It's a process that can take a boring old PDF of a research paper and turn it into a live interactive agent. Imagine being able to ask the paper questions or telling it to run the code from the study right in front of you. It would completely change how we interact with scientific literature.
But there's this really fascinating side benefit to all this. Paper-to-agent is turning out to be a fantastic stress test for scientific reproducibility. See, if the system tries to convert a paper into an agent and it fails, it's a huge red flag that the original paper's code or its documentation might have been incomplete or flawed. It kind of forces a higher standard on everyone.
Okay, so these ideas are incredible, truly game-changing. But how well do these AI co-scientists actually perform when the pressure's on? To find out, Zhu's team designed a pretty radical experiment to really put them to the test. They put together this experimental conference they called Agents for Science. The setup was pretty wild. The first rule, AI had to be the main author on any paper that was submitted. And the crazier part, the peer reviewers, the ones judging the quality of those papers, were also AI agents. The results were, well, they were eye-opening. Turns out, the AIs were not neutral judges at all. They had their own little personalities. The Gemini model, for example, was a total sycophant. It just loved to praise everything as groundbreaking. On the other hand, GPT-4 was super conservative, always cautious and critical in its reviews. It's a stark reminder of how much hidden bias can be built right into these systems.
But here's the number that really made everyone's jaw drop. 56%. That's how many of the AI-generated papers had at least one hallucinated reference, meaning a citation to a scientific study that literally doesn't exist.
So yeah, this whole experiment was a massive reality check. It laid bare some really critical gaps. For one, these agents are great at tweaking things that already exist, but they can't invent something truly new from scratch. They're also better at seeing broad connections across different fields than going super deep in one specialty. And, of course, the big one. Without a human being to actually do the work in a physical lab, they're completely powerless.
All right, so we've seen the incredible potential, but we've also seen some pretty serious limitations. So what's the road ahead look like? Well, the one theme that keeps coming up is collaboration, not replacement.
I just love this quote. Professor Zhu calls this whole research area a fascinating petri dish. And it's so true. We're not just using AI to do science, we're using these systems to study the very process of science itself, to learn more about how discovery actually happens.
So let's just boil it down. What we have right now with AI co-scientists are experimental prototypes. They are absolutely not a replacement for human scientists. Their best, most powerful use is to help accelerate discovery, but always in a collaboration led by human insight.
And that's really the point. The ultimate goal here isn't to replace scientists, it's about building AI partners that can help us understand and improve the whole scientific process from the ground up.
When you look at the future, it really does look like a partnership. You have humans driving the big picture strategy and bringing the creativity. You have AIs supercharging all the analysis and simulation. And then you have the physical lab work, which is the ultimate proof. Every single piece of that puzzle is essential.
So, the takeaway here isn't that we're heading for a future full of autonomous robot scientists. No, the most powerful and realistic path forward is one where human ingenuity is boosted and accelerated by a deep collaboration with AI.
And that leaves us with one final, very provocative question to chew on. AI might not be coming to replace scientists, but will the scientists who learn to master these powerful new AI tools eventually replace the scientists who don't? Now that's something to think about.
This video is a part of a series that will summarize the 2025 Agentic AI lecture series as offered by UC Berkeley RDI Center. For the full series of the summary lecture, see the description below. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel. We are on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, X, and Substack. Subscribe so that you can get the AI insights that make your foundation or your organization solid. By the way, the lecture summary video is made with the help of AI, in particular Notebook LM, where I did my best to maintain its accuracy.